Hello there, good morning. If you just joined us here on the show, welcome back here on Prime Morning. It's time for us to get into our news flash. As always, we'll bring you the various front pages of the newspapers and then we'll get into the major conversations. We've got a representation from the political parties, NPP and NDC. This morning, as always, here on the show. If you're joining us for the first time, you send your messages to our WhatsApp line and our social media platform. But today, we're doing it on Facebook. Our WhatsApp line is inactive today, so kindly do well to send your messages to us on our Facebook pages, Joy Prime, and you just simply go on Facebook, you search for Joy Prime. We're streaming live over there, so under the streaming, you can just put your comments over there in any of the conversations we have in here on the show this morning, all right? So our sincere apologies. For those of you out there who are only able to send us messages on our WhatsApp line, kindly do so, if you can, on our streaming platform on Facebook for today only. All right, thank you so much, and thanks for tuning in this morning here on the show. So we're going to go to the front pages, a few of them. I've got about 3 of them over here, and then we're going to actually check into our major conversation. But let's say a big thank you to, Pizza Man, Chicken Man, for making it possible, for always making sure people to, get to enjoy the very best when it comes to good food. And I'm talking about good food, all right? So you go to any of our branches here in Accra and Kumasi, and we've got something special we're doing for you. This whole Christmas period, we're showing you love, and we're giving you reasons to come through with a family. If you used to just go there and eat alone because you're thinking about how much you're going to pay, this time around, we're saying that just come through with the entire family. And we've got some discounts. We've got some very good deals that we're running that you definitely would enjoy every single bit of your time over there with the entire family. So make your way there and enjoy the very best of it. Every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. we'll bring you what we call the Step Up. A lot of people are winning prizes. People are winning money, enjoying themselves, being entertained and all of that. If you come play, you can sit in your homes and also get to win some good deeds for yourself as well. So all you got to do is to just tune in every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. and you're good to go. Trust me, you will be more than entertained when you tune in on Sunday. On Fridays, right here on Prime Morning, we'll bring you what we call the On a More Serious Note, and I've got myself and my partners in fun. We'll bring you some very lighter side of life, and we're talking about every other thing in between, from politics to entertainment to everything that bothers you right here on this very show, and you don't want to miss what is going to come on Friday, the coming Friday. So make sure you tune in at 8 p.m. and enjoy the very best of everything that we have for you. And also, we're bringing you Big Chef, so don't forget that it's going to be rolling very, very soon. There's so much that you can actually learn in terms of recipes for your, consumption. All right. So if you're a terrible cook as well, this is the place that you need to be. We'll tell you more about it when eventually we kickstart everything that you need to know about Big Chef Junior. We're going to be bringing them to you here on the show. All right. So that's what it is. But we're going to get into the newspapers. I'm going to start off with Daily Graphic. Daily Graphic this morning on the front page says, Constitution Day celebration, don't overhaul the Constitution. Strengthening public institutions, says the AG. Godfred Yabuadami has been captured over there. And away from that, protect Constitution by ensuring peaceful, transparent election, NCCE. Pages 24 and 25 has got a story on that. And yesterday we had a very long talk on the Constitution here on News Flash. We had a lawyer that ran us through all the things that we needed to know. Well, almost everything that we needed to know about the Constitution. And of course, you also sent in your concerns as well, and some of them were addressed here on the show. So yeah, that was for what you needed to know about the Constitution. Now, still on the Constitution and celebrating the day yesterday, unsuccessful election petition should attract sanctions, says Dr. Afarijan. He had a talk yesterday at the UPSA, and he spoke about a lot of issues, including the Constitution itself and also some of the things that makes Ghana poor, citing corruption as one of the key things that is making us poorer and poorer. We'll be delving into that conversation here on the show. GES harmonizes code for conduct for pre-tertiary schools, and ADB shareholders approve 2 billion capital injection. I'm talking about Ghana Cities, 2 billion Ghana Cities capital injection. At the back page of the Daily Graphic, we have the Veterans Court support for members. And Abuakwa North Assembly supports PWDs with startup items, and that's Abuakwa North doing some goodies and good deeds to the people of disabilities. And so people with disabilities were also enjoying that moment over there. Very big thank you going out to them for making that step. Now, Pope calls for universal ban on surrogate parenting. That's also captured in the middle page of the Daily Graphic. And UKPM urges Britain to stick with plan. That will be the Daily Graphic this morning. Let me get into the Daily Guide. The Daily Guide this morning says on the front page, the big story says 2024 election must be free, fair, says His Excellency Nana Addo Akufo-Addo. And it's captured on the front page. Bawumia opens na Sheriga Sports Complex, and GIFEC makes digitization strides. That's also captured on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning. Away from that, I'm the masked man. Sheda reveals, and Freedom Jacob sees another Kwame Bediako officially unveils himself as the man in the mask. Further for IGP Dampare, Dr. IGP Dampare has been captured on the front page of the Daily Guide with regards to that. And away from that, let's get into some of the middle pages and find what exactly is there. TB Joshua raped, tortured members, BBC investigation says. And like I said this morning, the church is yet to respond to some of the allegations that have been leveled against the late prophet. And away from that, Nigeria minister suspended over personal bank account. And also some other stories in the middle page. Davido Stonewall can promise others through funds at Afro Future. And Jaru announces school project in Ghana. And Bella Mundi marries business tycoon. That also captured in the middle page of Daily Guide. And away from that, the very last one. Okay, let me just check the back page. Bawumia opens now Sheriga Sports Complex. And the Kudus boost for stars. So that's also on the back page for the Black Stars who will be playing at the AFCON, and there has been so many other issues that have come with regards to that, but we're hoping that they'll be able to go through and achieve success for Mother Ghana. Economy Times is here this morning and says banks to unlock credit to private sector, and local rice farmers record low patronage. Mahama to restore Ghana's economy. That's also captured on the front page of the Economy. That'll be pretty much the front pages of the newspapers that we have got this morning here on News Flash. Now we're going to be getting into our substantive conversation in the studio with me this morning. Let me introduce my guests, and then we'll get into the conversation itself. So Seth Offei is writer, communications team member for the NPP, and he's joining us here on the show. He's also a family to this very network, and he's joining our new studio, joining us here in our new studio for the first time. Seth, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Same to you.
Great, and good to see you. How do you feel about our new place? You love it?
Like I expressed my optimism the last time I met you over there. I was expectant to see you in your new studio.
Yeah.
And indeed, the environment is so welcoming that I hope come next year by this time, you'll be here to be celebrating Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's victory
over
in this
here,
studio.
Right? That would be a good one, though.
Sure.
Good one. I'm not too sure about what Honorable will say about that, but that would be a good one.
I don't expect you to agree with me. I don't expect you to agree.
Honorable Timothy Ataboadey Awontirim is the former MP for Busa North constituency, the NDC's representation, and he's always also been a family to this, very network. He's always been here over the period he's joined us here on the show, and he's used to this environment, this new space, and so he's no new member when it comes to this new space. Honorable, good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, KMJ, and good morning to my brother too. Good morning to our cherished viewers out there and everybody that has been part of this big program and platform. I'm happy we are here once again to look at major headlines and other issues that is confronting this country I wish to say good morning to all our people out there and to your entire team that has been working for all the year and the new year. I think the new year started today. Today is my second appearance. Or is it
today's your second appearance.
yes.
Yeah.
We are wishing that the year bring us the necessary tidings and God's guidance and His mercies. My brother is saying the year by this time we'll be celebrating Mahmoud Bawumia's victory. Anyway, interesting to note, but I think it is not for he and myself to determine who will celebrate. It's the people of this country. And then the electorate. And looking at the abysmal performance of our counterparts in government, every election cycle brings an opportunity for the people to evaluate and assess the previous government and to see whether their state, as at the time they took over from a previous government, is worth maintaining them or change for a better, and every change is for a better. So I will leave that to the people who are listening and watching us. Fortunately or unfortunately on this part of the world, social media and the print media is playing a very major role in our political discourse. And, it is no more news to people who hitherto were uninformed, described as uninformed, because we were in the manual or the system that you would need platforms like this, you would need platforms like the print media to reach out to the people. These days, people sit in their homes and they're able to get information on what is happening in our economy. So I leave that to the people of this country. Once again, good morning, my brother.
Very well. So those are the two representations from the various
that was
newspapers,
a
the
long
NDC and the
monologue.
NDC. A long speech.
Yeah.
That's a long walk to freedom.
Yes,
Long walk to freedom.
certainly.
Speaking about freedom, Freedom Jacob Caesar and Kwame Bediako in a press conference after the cancellation of the convention at the Independence Square actually spoke about a few issues bothering him, including the cancellation or the halting of the convention, and also used that opportunity to unveil himself as the new face of the new force. And so in a surprising move, the new force movement undergone a significant visual overhaul, and of course replacing the iconic mask faces on billboards with the unveiling of one individual behind the symbolic mask, which of course happens to be Freedom Jacob Caesar. So some of the billboards that had the mask on have eventually been replaced with those that has his image on it, and over there it has written for president, Freedom Jacob Caesar and Kwame Bediako for president. And so we're going to be looking at that issue. We're going to take a look at the video, but also joining us via Zoom will be Dr. Samankra. As and when we're able to raise him, we'll let you know. But right now, let's take a look at this video of Nana Kwame Bediako at the press conference. When we come back, we'll have a conversation on that.
21 years of my life, I have been serving a nation, working so hard just to become an example of what wealth looks like. And building wealth comes from knowledge, comes from wisdom, comes from understanding. You need to get this value from your own surroundings. I grew up partly in Ghana, partly in England, and I came back to Africa. 2001. Unlike Martin Luther, I did not have a dream. I had a vision. I started watching the youth and the streets and the roads, the rules and the regulations, the conditions and the constitutions that is stipulated and embedded on us as Africans. I had to walk on a different path, and I was alone. My investment on the roads became a landmark. And whatever I invested on this landmark is a footprint. I am here for a legacy. I am part of your historians. That I know many people want to see the true side of me. I know you know Nana Kwame Bediako, but I know you're still looking for Freedom Jacob Caesar. Yes, I am rechristened, and I'm here. I'm not here to take your value. I'm here to add value to you. I discovered that the land that we belong to had so much wealth that until we turn it into our own, our economy will never be sustainable. And we cannot forever live live in our countries with a box economy. I needed to create a middle income economy without being a part of the government. Why so? Because I believe it's part of my responsibility. I took a different path. My movements, my foundation, my groups, and all of this have acquired some wealth. But the wealth that I reimbursed back into society, it has become a part of my mission to make this change. I believe that I belong to Africa. I am a son of this soil, and I can add value to humanity. And I came here to do that. I came here to add value to this world and to nature. I am not going to live here without God even being proud of me. And when I'm not here also, I want you to remember that I came. And I want my absence to be felt. And for that reason, I know you're looking for the man. But the man in the mask is sitting in front of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
I am nothing to be scared of. I came to you as your salvation. I don't invest in myself alone. I am investing in you. And truly, these innocent leaders sitting beside me, of course I will not go to them and tell them that, hey, I am a man in a mask and I want you to come to Ghana to support me to do this and this. And this man of this dignity and this woman with such power will say, yes, I'm going to follow you to come to Ghana to do your convention and all of that. No. It is part of the movement. We need to educate. We need to uplift our children. We need to voice out to them. If you are about to find out about this man in the mask, because I never spoke a word, you were looking for me. I didn't tell you whether I am into politics, whether I am an evangelist, whether I am a conventionist or a revolutionist. After this day, you will have to wait for me to share my policies and my visions with you. And if I'm the reason why the country or the government is not happy about these great voices coming to educate not only Ghana, but also Africa, then I'll take this moment to sacrifice myself, to unveil myself, because I have much respect for these great leaders beside me. It would have taken my own time to tell you that I am. But for this very moment, I am sacrificing myself to let you know that I'm that man. But I'm that man with a good purpose, with a great vision. I have a plan and I have a vision for this nation. And not only this nation, I have it for Africa too. But I know Africa is the next biggest thing, because out of all the continents that have been developed in this world, there is only one continent that is not developed. And I am sent to do that. I am not interested in people's positions. I am not interested in presidential positions. I am interested in the regions and the humans. I am interested in the countries. I am interested in the continent, the resources here, the human resources here, the great opportunities to be able to prove a point to the world that this is what we can make out of ourselves as a black society. We have been doomed and disrespected, undervalued by everybody in the Western world. My pain is in my heart and I can't express it to you, so I let my actions speak for me. I want to thank you very much for this moment, and I want to thank greatest leaders. Your voice would never leave us as Africans. And it's the beginning of a new Africa, a new nation, a new dawn, a new mindset. Everything is new. Thank you.
And that's Nana Kwame Bediako, Freedom Jacob Caesar, over there at the press conference that he put together after the cancellation of the convention, which was supposed to have happened at the Independence Square on Constitution Day. Very well. Let me get back to the studio. Honorable, I'll begin with you.
Yeah. Interesting. I was completely taken aback when I heard that the conference was cancelled, and I began to reminiscence and to know exactly what was the issue. Remember that it was supposed to happen on the Constitutional Day.
Yeah.
The 1992 Constitution gives us unfettered access to the freedom of expression and of speech. And freedom of expression can be expressed in any way that you deem fit. It should only be in consonance with the laws of freedom of speech and guidance, so that you don't go haywire, so that your utterances and the expression of your speech would not injure the reputation of other people expressing their speeches and their cultural practices and so on. Interestingly, Constitutional Day, these respectable figures were invited across the African continent. We know of Patrice Lumumba, Professor Lumumba. We know of Malema. And we know a couple of them. We know how vibrant they've been on the continent, how they've been able to, how they always express themselves passionately with regard to happenings on the continent, not related to just their countries of origin and so on. In fact, their utterances and expressions cut across, and sometimes they begin to resonate well with individuals that are located in different parts of the continent and so on, because we feel the same thing. The same economic challenges that we feel in Ghana here, including our social cultural practices, are equally or somewhat felt by some other people in this part of the world and so on. We are all frustrated about the fact that resources for this continent that should have been used judiciously for the purposes of benefiting the people of this country have been siphoned out of the continent, have been siphoned out of this country by powerful political actors and so on. And for me, if we have people who are coming to re-ginger the situation, rekindle into our spirit the spirit of nationalism, the spirit of patriotism, the spirit of hard work, the spirit that would engender harmony and peace, then I think that it was unfortunate on the part of government to have done that. And especially, these events didn't just come up as mushrooms grow overnight. In fact, I think that there had been dialogue between national security and, for that matter, the organizers of the event and the use of our Independence Square for that purposes and so on. It was advertised across the media houses and so on. So people travel across the length and breadth of this country to listen to these speakers and so on. Interestingly, drew a lot of the youth, the cream de la cream of our youth to this spot. And it can tell you that the youth that went there need something to ginger them up. And especially we are in an election year. And I remember at the same spot, some youth guys, I think a year or so, gathered there for a youth program that was international in nature. And the president went there and they hooted at him and so on. National security would have taken...
The Global Citizen Festival.
The Global Citizen Festival. The president suffered a colossal embarrassment as a result of the hooting there and so on. It was all because of the negative impact of the policies and the promises the president gives to the people of this country, and especially the youth, the creating of jobs and jobs and jobs, the movement from taxation to production, telling the people that we are sitting on money and yet we are hungry, all these sweet talks. And when the youth came, they saw that they were rather worse off than where the president picked them. That gingered the hooting of the president at the Global Youth Summit. And this is, interestingly, some people even say they traveled from Navrongo over 800 kilometers to attend this program. And to the shock of their life, they were cancelled at the diamond when they had put up structures, the platforms, the people had already gathered, and so on. And then from nowhere, an order came from so-called above. Who are the above? I keep saying something. You see, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. But if there's a word they call the suprema law, it's the people, it's the will of the people. It is not the constitution. In fact, when the good of the people turn ugly, no one can stay in this country, as it happened in Sri Lanka under Rajapaksa, the president there. When the good of the people turned evil, there was no amount of army or bullets. There was no amount of atomic energy that could stop the people from moving. And that is how it is. That is how we have often told the government that policies that you bring up should rather be policies that, because the youth unemployment and other issues plaguing the youth have become a national security issue. The youth are frustrated. Some of them are into gambling and betting. As we sit this morning, betting is being taxed because government has run the economy into a junk status, into a negative state, to such a way that our economy, haircuts have been done by people's investment. As we talk, 850 people have been yanked into poverty. As we talk, 2.4 million people in this country, as World Health Organization told us, are having various degrees of mental challenges under this government and so on. And we know the vibrancy with which Professor Lumumba talks. He had already criticized the lithium deal and said that this lithium deal that we did was no different from what we signed with our colonial masters. And he has been someone who has been talking about the poverty of ideas in terms of policies that we implement by our politicians. He earlier on criticized the president of this country, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, over some of his policies, and said that this was a man that when he was in opposition, he talked so well. He espoused brilliant ideas. What suddenly happened to him when he came to power? And we know how revolutionary Malema has been, not just holding his government to accountability, but holding leaders of the African continent into accountability for the poor usage of resources and subjugating our people into everyday poverty. We become beggars. Today, as we sit, the implementation of this budget is hinged on the approval of an IMF conditionality and loans of about $600 million, just $600 million. When you look at the strategic mobilization, the strategic mobilization limited, the revenues assurances by this company and so on, the current investigation being done is that we are paying a private company of over $100 million a year. They've responded. Parliament is saying that they go into the investigation. The special prosecutor has been given the opportunity to. But what did we see as of that is the fact that the president has gone to tell KPMG to come and investigate. I can go on and on. But I think that it was an embarrassment.
Okay.
It didn't need to, because you cannot do that without not even give them an alternative place to go for if you wanted to use it. And we've been there up to today. You have not used the place. The place has not been used. It has been left as you told the conference people not to. They had paid 10,000 Ghana cedis. And you are saying that you are going to refund their 10,000 Ghana cedis. It's mind-boggling that under a president who talked about freedom of speech, a president who was touted as a constitutional guru, someone whom people thought that if he came to power, most of these things would have been thrown into the dustbin, have quadrupled. We've seen how journalists have been attacked in this country. We've seen that a lot of people cannot even comment on policies that this government has implemented, and they are going haywire. You talk, they come after you, they mobilize all their arsenals under their canopy, pay them well, give them state resources to come after you, either through social media, either through other media platforms, and directly hit you confrontational, because you are expressing your thoughts on policies that have been implemented poorly by this government and so on. You cannot even talk. So I saw a panic on their behalf. Okay. I saw that they thought that these were selected Pan-Africanists who would have talked like Nkrumah did, who would have talked like the forefathers of the original AU did, and in using the African continent as a platform to send their messages to all people. And to so I think that it was bad, and that it shouldn't happen. It has rather given a negative ambience to the people out there and to other would-be speeches. I know your platform. I think your platform also have invited Professor Lumumba several times.
Oh, yeah.
To come and
Yeah.
He has been in this country. He's always in and out. Malema, you name them. Look at the time South Africa had their problems. Most of the South African freedom fighters they came here for the education. In fact, we had to even send someone like the late Kojo Chikata to join the freedom fighters in Namibia and other parts of Southern Africa to fight for freedom and so on and so forth. So we are a great continent. We're a continent that leadership has failed us, especially under the MPP leader. They've completely debased our thinking about what public policies, democracy, freedom of speech is all about. And I think that we should ensure that these things do not occur again, because Ghana is a bastion of democracy. Ghana is seen as the freedom of democracy. Ghana is seen as an area you can easily express. In fact, people run here when they are being harassed in their various countries. And if we did this thing without concrete evidence to show that, it means there's political motivated. Let me end on a note. I'm ending on this note because you see sometimes when government does this action, you wonder the government that my brother talked about this morning, that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia would be winning the election. When you do these things, they go to impact him negatively. Remember, the youth are the majority people who would vote. Then when you do that, what would they be saying? It is another Bawumia government that listened to us. We travel from Navrongo. We travel across all the country. We left our works. In these economic times, we had to come to listen to these speakers, and we have been completely embarrassed, completely disappointed. You think, well, with the negative, the colossal damage of this goes straight to your flag bearer. So it looks as if sometimes Bawumia has been put there to be embarrassed, and then it was like, we kept you there. You were not able to win the election. We did what we want to do. Because you cannot imagine that these things are happening. Taxes that you've put in this budget is going to affect him. You are thinking of raising 11 billion Ghana cedis from taxation. Your deficit is over 50 billion Ghana cedis as we talk this morning. Don't you think that's going to affect your presidential candidate? What is it going to tell the people?
All right, I'm sure Offei will have answers to that. Offei, let me take your view on that.
Yeah, KMJ, thank you for this opportunity once again. Let me say a good morning to my honorable here, yourself, and our viewers out there. I can't start my submission without saying a good morning to my National Communications Director, and then my Constituency Communications Director, and then to the region. Not forgetting my honorable MP, Afrifa for Amasaman. Indeed, over the weekend, he has been good to me, so I have to say a good morning to him this morning for his support towards my education in the University of Ghana this year. Then to Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the man whose name, when mentioned, all shakers in the NDC. Surely his name resonates with the youth. I was surprised when my honorable here was making the point that youth will be disappointed in Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Over the years, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has demonstrated that indeed he represents the aspiration of the youth. Now, when you look at our environment of late, the most dominant activity that goes on is the use of social media through technology. Who champions it? Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He has been named or acknowledged as a digital man over the years. And so for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia's name to be mentioned and then be pitched against the youth of Ghana, I don't think it's the right thing to be done this morning. Now to the issue on board, that is Freedom Jacobs and his movement, dubbed New Africa Foundation. Now, some people may not know this man, so I would like to go back a little and then speak about him for people to at least relate with the kind of personality he is. Now, sometime in 2022 March, you may have heard that there was a communique from the Bank of Ghana indicating that this online business known as Freedom Coin, which is an online trading business, which hitherto some companies may have engaged in, which duped the citizens, was on online advocating that people should patronize their products. So Bank of Ghana, taking cognizance of the environment which had already existed, which caused a lot of tension and then insecurity in our financial system, issued a communique against that venture. This was the person who was behind that business. Fast forward, in May 2022, you may have heard that a gentleman had purchased some tigers and had kept them in his residence. This was the same person who was behind these pictures. I'm trying to let people relate with the kind of person he is. So if people don't know anything about him, I think we can use these two instances of issues that may have occurred surrounding his personality to relate with him. He has an idea of championing the cause of the youth of this country. Fantastic. We are not against it. But of course, if you're a leader, one cardinal principle of a good leader is honesty. If you're a leader, you're not honest, it leaves much to be desired of you. So if you have an agenda of rallying the youth of Ghana and Africa as a whole beyond your movement or your agenda, so to liberate them from their shackles and difficulties, you have to be forthright in your communique. Now, in communication, there are 4 maxims of communications by Grice. He talks about maximum of relation, maximum of quantity, maximum of manner, and the maximum of quality. When you talk about quality, you should be truthful to your audience anytime you are speaking. Was that seen in his communique? I'll answer that question in the subsequent.
You didn't see any truth in it?
I didn't see any truth in it.
Which part didn't you see?
I'll let you know that. When you talk about maximum of quantity, you should be informative as possible, as every human being when you are communicating to your audience. When you talk about maximum of manner, you should be brief and clear so that there is no ambiguity in your communication. And the maximum of relation talks about the fact that when you are communicating, your information should be relevant to the topic you are discussing. Now, when I look carefully at his presentation after his shadow meeting or presentation was cancelled, I saw a lot of deficiencies when I should compare his presentation to these maxims of communication. That when it comes to information, he was not forthright with his information. Now, he came pretending to be somebody who was coming to bring the youth to speed and rally around the energies of the youth to liberate the society against injustice and whatever. But behind his agenda was the fact that he was coming to unveil a political party, in effect. It wasn't just a movement, but it was a political party. Now, the Independence Square is not a venue for unveiling of political parties. If you look at the history behind the Independence Square, way back in 1961, it does not speak about unveiling of political parties at the Independence Square.
He didn't say that he was going to unveil a political party.
Yes, of course. You see, national security will not just come out and tell you that stop your what do you call it, your program out of nothing. Remember that the national security of these states works behind the scenes and makes sure that hidden issues and truths or agenda of personalities and group of people are on it, so that the state is protected.
Unveil himself as a political.
Obviously, if you look at this,
at the Independence Square.
Now, when you listen to the speakers who spoke alongside him, they were not even clear as to why they were invited.
How do you know?
I listened to the lady who spoke, and he speaks to the point that he was not even briefed as to the exact thing he was going to do.
That's
but
what
of course,
kind of said.
Of course, but she came with a prepared speech, trying to energize the youth around Africa, to liberate other citizens.
How so that someone like Dr. Arikana, in the capacity she has, will not be briefed about something that she's been
I am not
invited?
speaking to speculation. I listened to her.
I also was, that's what I'm asking you, because I didn't see anywhere she said that I was not briefed that I'm coming here for A, B, or C. what she mentioned was that she had also been following what is happening across, and so she's here in the capacity
I'm telling you that,
to speak to the youth of Ghana.
And I'm telling you that behind...
Let's be honest with that. If
Sure.
you want to say that Jacob Caesar came in a certain perspective, because at the end of the day, he said that he had come for this purpose. Okay. That's okay. But the other speakers that were...
I'm happy that you've been able to even...
no detailed analysis of whatever it is that they were invited for, they were not invited for. They never
I am happy that you've been able to even add up to my point, which I earlier made, that one of the personalities which you heard yourself made that point.
The point as what?
That he was not clear as to why.
No, not clear. It was. They didn't even mention anything that has to do with his unveiling or his purposes of unveiling himself as whatever.
Behind the scenes,
they only said that they've been invited for a conference to speak to the youth of Ghana, just as they've done with other countries.
And I'm telling you that behind the scenes, these are the investigations uncovered.
That's why I was asking you that. So the national security knew behind the scenes that this is what his intentions
I'm giving you
were.
an insider.
Is that what it was?
I am giving you an insider information, which I don't have to disclose myself.
And I'm also asking
as a journalist, you don't always disclose your
I
source.
didn't say disclose your source to me. I'm only asking. I'm echoing.
That is a privileged information
said.
I have.
Exactly, and I'm just echoing it. So the national security knew what was going behind the scenes, and that's why they came. That's why
it's the same thing as telling me to disclose myself, my source to you. So I wouldn't want to answer you in the way you want it. I'm telling you that privileged information
Very well,
I
but
have.
let's not put the speakers in the position where it makes them feel like they knew a certain agenda, and
that is what I'm telling you,
had nothing to do with that.
That is what I'm telling you, that the proponent of this agenda had a different motive, which he didn't make it clear to these speakers. And I'm telling you that the president of Ghana has a responsibility to protect the citizens of this country. Given the environment we find ourselves in, this is an election year, and therefore you know that tensions will be up. A lot of security issues and implications are supposed to be considered in any event that happens in no mean a place like our Independence Square, where our national important issues are held over there. And you leave it to an individual to champion his own cause without disclosing the details of his agenda to the government.
Why did they approve the venue for him in the first place?
It doesn't change anything.
It changes a lot.
It doesn't change anything.
They approved the venue for him.
If you allow me to flow, you get my point. You may make your initial inquiries and come to the point that, or the notion that this is what is going to happen. But of course, upon second revelation, you may be able to find details about a hidden agenda of an individual. And that is what the national security of this country did. And I'm telling you that at any point, when there is a suspicion that there is an activity which is going to smack out of any fishy deal, the security of this, the security officials of this state has a responsibility to make sure that that incident is curtailed or stopped. And that is exactly what the security of this state has done. Now, as a leader, like I said, you should be forthright with your pronouncement and your agenda with the public. But you don't go with a hidden agenda and then you come and then give us a different story. The security of this state is paramount in any incident or in any happening.
How does that affect the governance of this country in the first place? If somebody decides that I want to use A, B, C, D method to unveil myself as this so and so person, these people have rights to use whatever method to bring whatever it is they want to do.
What I want to tell you is that
a party, or they want to be a president, or they want to be whatever. How does that affect the governance of this country in any way?
Don't forget that there's a thin line between a freedom fighter and a terrorist.
So he's a terrorist?
I'm not saying that.
There's
a thin line between a freedom fighter
and a terrorist. Does he come across like a terrorist for what he's doing?
I've given you his background. You can make your own judgment. I'm saying that there's a thin line between a freedom fighter and a terrorist. So if you have an action from a suspicious character, you don't expect the government to sit aloof. We are going to be the same citizens who will come back on this table and say that the security of this state or the security officials of this state slept on their job.
What makes Malema then?
Malema
has done so much.
Has done so much.
Different places.
Now, when you go to South Africa today,
even in Parliament House.
I'm telling you, when you go to South Africa today, the youth of South Africa, some of them are fighting Malema for his dubious activities in their country. Now, he presented himself...
These are facts?
These are facts. You can make your own background checks. He presented himself as somebody who was going to champion the cause of the youth and the nation at large. But go to South Africa and see. People are now blaming him or accusing him of acquiring properties with state funds. But initially, he came as somebody who was for the downtrodden people. But today, he has been able to acquire so much wealth that people who believe in his idea initially are today fighting him for some of his acts. So for me, in an election year like 2024, where the stakes are high, when you have opposition members always accusing government of sleeping on his job, of not ensuring that the citizens of this country are protected, and you have a national security that has been able to do a background check, making sure that the citizens are protected. Not just the citizens, but the property of this nation, which is so much revered and valued during important events like the swearing of presidents, Independence Day celebration, and other important events. I don't expect such a venue to be used by such an event by Freedom Jacobs, who presents himself as somebody who is there for the youth. For me, I don't see him as somebody who represents the youth of this nation in any regard, taking into account his violation of all these maxims that I earlier on stated, being it quality, quantity, relation, or manner. He was not forthright with his information. So for me, I believe that if he should use the right venue, nobody will prevent him from championing his views or his agenda. That's my point this morning.
Very well.
I'm not. I agree with him with national security issues. I agree with him that the national security of this country must be up and doing to ensure peace and tranquility, to ensure that people go about with their duties in a free environment and in a secure environment. But my brother, you see, then by what you espouse this one, national security slept on his job, and they have no business.
And I will not agree with that point.
So when I come, and heads should be rolled. Why? Because they paid 10,000 Ghana cedis for the use of the National Independence Square. They paid 10,000. And I know organizers, you know that some of the leadership of the Ghana, it's always to and fro between the owners of the facilities they want to use until the last end, the shortcomings are, the loopholes are filled in.
I beg to differ, because I don't think the 10,000 was paid to the national security.
No. That place is a national security zone.
They are supposed to monitor the security state of the venue.
Let me come. It is also under national protocol.
No doubt about that.
I'm coming. And these things work together. They work harmoniously. There's no way you are going to release a national security platform to me to organize a platform without not asking for permission or discussing the issue with them. You know that place and the Princess of Parliament and all those, you know, the national security.
That alone answers your question.
No.
That
There's
it is
no
a security
way.
zone. So
there's
when
no
there
way,
is any suspicion,
if you allow me to finish, it will help
it should be presented.
No, there's no way, even the release of the place, trust me this morning, that you can deal with our national security. Even once you start putting up a canopy, they will come there. But remember, the issue was cancelled on the day. So was national security sleeping? If there were people who were to invade this country, would have gotten, the invaders would have taken over before national security say Jack.
And that is the point I disagree with.
No,
because the incident didn't take place.
You would disagree with me,
that
but you would agree.
They were on top of
the timing.
The timing. It doesn't change
national
anything.
security
The point was that
no,
the incident didn't take place.
No. If you allow me, my brother, if you allow me, national
that was
security.
A few hours to the event.
Yeah, few hours to the event.
And the few hours to the event doesn't change the fact that whatever agenda didn't happen. Yes,
I'm coming. This program has been advertised, publicized. Everybody knew it was, including even government operators and so on. You have national security, you have BNI, you have the police, you have the CID, name them. Holding Gota, what do you call it? Is it Gota? Around threatening people and so on. And you raise a structure on a national security monument They will tear it down. You remember when, what do you call it? The University of Ghana, when the University of Ghana wanted to build the gate, you remember, under Govlo Latte, before daybreak, it was pulled down. So what I'm telling you, that it means national security slept on their job. How is it that planners don't do these things in vacuum? You do them in tandem with the institutions involved. And especially know that it was coming to, is it a constitutional day?
Yeah.
And normally when we are having such national days, security is high. Do you know that? Independent Day, security is high, Republic Day, security is high. Security will do and give clearance. And give clearance before you can start the project. You wait till people travel from Navrongo, Sanama, Bulsa Saf.
But I have a question for you.
Yeah, when I finish, you bring it.
We need to be wrapping up.
Yeah.
on
Then
this.
he also talks about Malema. I don't want to go into those things, but he has acquired public. Look, the president of this country, what didn't he tell the youth of this country? And the poor, he gave hope to the poor.
And that is why he's doing his job
creating
as a
jobs,
president.
to bring policies that will serve as respite to their despicable situation. Now the youth is frustrated. Workers have lost their jobs through banking cleanups. SMGs also take a whole lot of caboodle of issues that have plagued the people of this country. Under the president who promised, who ate cocoyam with farmers, with poor people in the bush. Today he's bathing in a plane. Was he telling that he was coming to bath in a... So when you juxtapose what you are saying about Malema and the president is worse.
I don't expect you to
All right,
make...
so
I don't expect you to make the point that as a former member of parliament, you fought for that propaganda that the president was bathing in an aeroplane.
The Minister of Defense said it on the floor of
I don't
Parliament.
think you,
No, but your
as an
Minister
honorable
of
person,
Defense
should
said
fall
it
for
on the
such a
floor of
propaganda.
Parliament. It was
Because
debated,
it should be somebody
captured.
to be
That
educating the public.
No, but it was
against the
captured in
security of the
parliamentary
president.
answer.
He's the first gentleman of this
As
land.
a
And it
former
must be-
member, I'll tell you that
the
whatever you
security
say on the
is
floor,
paramount in
whatever
any
you say on this
situation.
floor is tested and captured in this. When you come to the following day for it is read. Corrections and
that
what?
he was bathing.
That was what your Minister of Defense, Nitiwul, said
No,
on the
he
floor.
used the word bathing in the in
What
the,
did
in
he
the,
say?
in the
Tell us
aircraft.
what he said. No,
That
okay.
was what he said.
No, so what did he say?
I am so much scandalized this morning. Now you make the point that the
If he didn't
president
say
of this
bath,
country.
what did he say?
Why will you make your allegation? You want me to prove it for you?
No, but you disputed it, so you bring superior facts.
And I'm
If you
telling you that
dispute me-
the
So what
the
did he
Minister for
say on
Defense
the floor of
never
Parliament?
said
What
that.
did he say?
He spoke to the effect that it was the military that made arrangement for that special aircraft
So
for him.
military made
and never
special-
made mention of bathing
The
in an
details are
aircraft.
there. We don't
Now,
need to
the point you make
regurgitate.
about another not creating jobs. In the history of Ghana, no president has ever made mention of the fact that he's not a magician to create jobs for the youth.
No,
except
it's not
Mahama.
true. Mahama didn't say that.
No minister of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has ever said
and
that
I warn you,
youth
you were there
should go
last week.
and cut grass and sell.
You were there.
I'm saying that Nana Addo
Mahama-
has provided jobs
Mahama
through
never
the National
say
Ambulance
that again.
Service,
Never say that
through
again.
NAPCO, through employment of teachers, giving nurses allowance, teacher training allowance, and employing them after their completion of education.
My brother,
Forget
Mahama
about, not forgetting about the point that
never,
in
don't say it
2012,
again.
13,
So,
14, 15,
on
you left a
Constitution
backlog.
Day-
But when this
Constitution Day on
government came into
Sunday, we
being,
had-
all these backlogs were cleared.
My brother, we left a backlog.
And
of what?
consistently, we've provided jobs, not less than 2.1 million jobs.
So how come the youth are also
every state-
are saying that they don't have jobs?
No country will be able to employ all its
We agree that.
That is why we are building
There was
factories
a
through
public lecture.
one district, one factory.
Gentlemen, let's move on.
So
to
let's
our
agree with the fact that
But I want you to get
Nana Addo
let's-
has made a mark when
Right.
it comes to the employment of the youth of this country. Rome was not built in a day. Gradually, we will get there. That's the
For
hope
the
I want to
benefit
give.
of our
on Constitution
viewers.
Day, after Constitution Day on Monday, so it was a holiday, and there was a lecture at the UPSA. We had our former chairperson for EC, Dr. Farijan, gave a lecture, and he spoke about some issues, including, what we can do to make it better for us moving forward as a country, and also mentioned that the country has been very poor because of corruption. And he actually stated now in his own words, he says there are clear signs of the consolidation of our democracy. Over the years, we have become poorer as a nation, as a people, due to mainly to pervasive corruption, particularly in the public sector and public life. Unfortunately, some of our key institutions are becoming institutions of dubious integrity, he said during his speech. And that's the former chairperson for the Electoral Commission of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Bediako. Honorable, let me begin with you. We're not going back to the back and forth, please.
But you see,
we have one other issue to talk about.
Messages.
So,
Sorry, I have to do this because that MPP has been carried. That Muhammad said he's not a magician.
That's a fact.
This is it. Public Bagana. The event was organized by
That's a fact.
You see, he didn't say that. Please don't be doing that because I said it here.
I said
Muhammad
we're
said
supposed
that.
We're supposed to move
By
on.
who? By who?
And he continues to
By who?
advocate the same.
It was
Honorable, which
by
of
the
the issues
same
are you
JD.
talking
Look at
about
what
now?
Muhammad said about what he said.
Honorable,
He said that.
we're going to go back and forth with it. We dealt with
What
this
about the
issue
grass
last
cutting?
week. Offei, you're not helping the conversation.
No. Grass
Let's
cutter.
move on.
Is it grass cutter or grass
Before
cutter?
you start
Cutting of
bringing
grass
other
for
issues.
sale.
So it's
By your
not, it's
minister.
not work. It's not work. So you now want
So
to
that is the
offend
way.
my brothers.
That is the way.
My brothers
That is the way you want us to go
I,
and do.
Timothy Ataboadey,
As
went to
an
the bush,
innovative
carry-
leader,
cut grass.
the
Listen
best
to me.
solution you could give
Cut
to your
grass.
youth is to go and cut grass
Look at
and
me
go and
sitting.
stand by
Look
the
at me
roadside
this
and sell.
morning. Look at me this morning.
In addition, you make the point that we should go and
at
gather
me.
stones and sell.
Look at me. Look
This
at me
shouldn't
this
be
morning.
an
Look at
innovative
me
idea
this
from
morning. I was
a
in Sanama.
president
I agree. I went to
who is
Sanama
former
Technical.
and still wanting
From
to
school, I
be
go to the
re-elected.
bush.
So who am I supposed to listen to right now?
Tell my brother
which
that
of
you
you
should be a
are
little
viewers?
I think you made a point that
viewers,
issue had been.
So let's go
Like
to
I said, we're
Afarijan.
streaming live on Facebook, so you can drop your messages over there. I'm sure most of you are sending your messages on our WhatsApp line. We can't do WhatsApp messages this morning, so kindly go on our honorable. I'll take the honorable from your name this morning. No?
Offei
I'm only stating a fact.
You can send your messages on our streaming platform on Facebook. That's where we can read your messages this morning. Unfortunately, and we're sorry for that, we can't read your messages on WhatsApp this morning. Honorable, let's talk about Dr. Afarijan.
Yes, yesterday was also another interesting
Yeah.
one. I think at the time Afarijan was giving his lecture, it coincided with the time our national chairman was also giving his lecture.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Afarijan's lecture, and I enjoyed both my national, the press statement coming, all borders on peace and security during an election. And it couldn't have come at a better time than this year, because this is an election year. And it also happened at a time when the people were going for the Independence Square to show
A
that
lot happened in that last 24 hours,
yeah.
from Sunday to
You know, the
Monday.
Independence Square is a significant area that talks about freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from economic oppression, not just colonial rule. Freedom from subjugation, of the freedom of expression and of thought. Freedom from bad governance and of corruption. Freedom from an indisciplined government. That is what the Independence Square signifies, and it's a very important we must make this morning. Afarijan talked about corruption. He talked about the fact that the regional coalition centers, he talked about how elections are rigged, and so on, how the role of the judiciary and what the judiciary can do. He even talked about the fact that it's it's bad to use regional coalition centers as places. That Nigeria even we copied from Nigeria. I remember the time Afarijan was the
chair for EC.
chairperson. Professor Tahiru Jiga from the Independent Electoral Commission of Nigeria came here to study from us how we were doing our election and to improve their election systems and so on. So, and also it brought into focus the fact that Nigeria is a federal state. And in federalism, it is okay to collate the elections at the regional level because of their regional polling systems and so on. We are a unitary state, a central government for that matter. So elections, the collation are done at the national headquarters for the presidential election, of which the electoral commissioner or the electoral chairperson is the sole returning officer. He is the sole. His position is indivisible, and it cannot be delegated. The returning officer's position is clear in the Constitution. So Afarijan seeks to draw the attentions of the challenges that we'll be having as a result of corruption in our system, the economy, the vote system, and the role of political parties. And so you remember that it was at this time that IPAC became very strong in this country, that we were able to move from the opaque ballot system to the transparent ballot system that we are having. Everything was almost completely by digital up to the time he was exiting and up to the time that the former electoral commissioner was doing. If you look at what Afarijan said and look at what happened even in our last election, the fact that 8,000 people, eight people had to die in Tichman because of these elections, it is so unconscionable, like it was put succinctly by JDM when the president talked about father that he hadn't congratulated him and so on. He said, how can I congratulate? When 8 people died as a result and you became a president, you have not even said one word to the bereaved family. A cousin of mine whose son is called Abdallah Ayarak, 18-year-old boy in Tichman, was shot and killed. Cousin of mine. And how can we continue this type of elections after over 30 years of the implementation of our 1992 Constitution, that every election year it resonates fear. Every election year there's threat. Look at what happened at Ayawaso, West Ogun. He touched on that. He touched on the fact that there were political appointees at the at the electoral office, the role of the judiciary. And I'm always very appalled about the judiciary, because when issues of elections come, even the delay, especially in terms of the parliamentary election, sometimes by the time the verdict is given, you can no more return to parliament and so on. I think the judiciary should be up and the judiciary should help in the discourse of our democratic credentials in this country. National Security, Electoral Commission should play its role, should ensure that factors and responsibilities bestowed on them to ensure free and fair elections in this country are done to the latter. Nowhere that we should have national security operatives on elections, they go around to intimidate people. We should not have macho men of any size, be they from any part of politics. People should be allowed to move freely in and out of the polling stations and to move there at the point of, counting and so on. They should observe the process that is going on. Look at under the current district assembly election that we can use as a yardstick or a precursor to the elections coming 2020 for this year. The Electoral Commission says that they are not going to provide an indelible mark, ink, which your budget that you sent to Parliament 2024 has been approved. Over 700 million Ghana has been approved for all matters related to electoral issues and so on. What happened at the elections, the assembly elections, were that, look, inadequate printing of ballot papers we had in these small assembly elections. And so people could not find their names at certain areas and so on. There were a lot of other challenges, security issues and so on. So the long and short of it is that
wrap it up for me.
We are political actors. My brother to his party is a political actor. We should all commit ourselves to ensuring free and fair elections. We should all commit ourselves to hold the Electoral Commission accountable to whatever conduct they put up that does not augur well, that does not engender freedom of voting at that day. We should be prepared to move every peswa, every resource to ensure that elections are done in a free atmosphere, and that after the elections, both political parties, whether you lose or not, you would accept. Remember when the Speaker of Parliament said the president was a lame duck, completely lame duck. And he came out and responded that he wasn't a lame duck. In fact, he is not a lame duck. He works on his...
He still got the power.
But he's a lame duck. He's not a lame duck.
So Dr. Afarijan also speaks about the issue of...
I'm coming. The president said that he was going to do everything to ensure that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia is voted into power. As what? He hasn't got that power. And that we are calling on moral society. That's what my chairman said yesterday. NDC should not always be the party that you would, as if the peace of this country rests on them.
Okay, so maybe
The actors,
you can get into
the
let's
actors,
just
the
tell
actors
two
who we
conversations.
call, what do you call them? The chief imam's office, our religious bodies, our chieftaincy institutions, even youth associations, CSOs, and so on. International bodies like the monitoring institutions and so on should rather be seen where the problem is coming for. You cannot pack the Electoral Commission with card-bearing members of the MPP. Clearly partisan MPP people on the letter. It has never happened under the history of this government. The president knew, and you appointed these people. The Electoral Commission said they've seen nothing wrong with that. Ballot papers. We talked about the over 1 million ballot papers that were seized the last 4 years that we had the elections. These ballot papers are still in the possession of the police. They've not destroyed them. All these are pointers to the fact that we cannot rely solely on the Electoral Commission for a free and fair election.
Okay.
But like my chairman said, we'll be part of the IPAC discussions. We want to see a Jean Mensah, who, when he was the chief executive, I've known her, I've been to IA on a number of occasions with our mother, Christian Churcher, to meet her for a program for the former MPs, and I've met her on several occasions at his place. The G. Mensah, who was the IA CEO or spokesperson, espoused good electoral policies and issues of democratic principles and so on. This is the same G. Mensah that has been given another job. That what he was espousing there, he should use the same yardstick and implement it. He has gone and all her activities are completely haywire. Today he walks around with a mowak. He walks around with a platoon of soldiers and police people. What is he afraid of? When the same Afarijan was speaking, we saw Afarijan driving himself in this country, even going to little kiosks and so on, walking freely in town. What are you afraid of when you're a public officer? Once your services satisfy the constitutional mandate imposed on you to discharge your duty, and you discharge it to the best of your ability, you are not afraid of anyone. You can walk freely. But it is the people of this country that provide the resources for you. You cannot go and declare, as we sit this morning, my brother, do we know the elections that were declared? Do you know the results? You don't know, because 6 elections were declared. Those that were declared by the PRO of the Electoral Commission, immediately after, the president made him an ambassador, I think, to one of the Scandinavian countries, either Denmark or so. And the Electoral Commissioner is the sole, listen to me, he's the sole returning officer of the presidential election. That her position is not delegated. It is not indivisible. And you announce the elections 1, not 6 times. Keep changing as we said this morning, that we send the case to the Supreme Court, and the interrogations that Chachu Chikata wanted to put her on her to know. Chachu Chikata wanted to know which of these results that you declared were the rare ones that we can rely on. Today,
Oh, no, but let me
we don't know the results that was used to declare the president.
Let me read some messages.
Okay.
Let's engage our viewers a bit. Now, Fresh says that, I'm sorry, but the NPP guy really need a professional doctor immediately. In what sense? Maybe you could have explained better with that. Bedu Derek says, freedom fighter and a terrorist. Interesting. And this one, YG Scott says, Mr. Seth, please stop painting Shedder black before us. Whatever the government, Victor wouldn't phase the youth. His plan and vision is what we need. All right, so that's what you sent in. Another one, can I get another one? Okay, so this one over here says, KMJ, what is Seth talking about? That the speakers did not know what they were invited to speak on. Tell him to stop insulting the integrity of the speakers. What government did amounts to an international disgrace. In what way did the convention pose any threat, security threat to the nation? What is wrong, and let's not defend it. My regards to Honorable Awontirim from Justice Appear of Pan-African Television. Justice sent in this one this morning. We're going to be getting more of your messages coming through. Don't also forget that Dr. Farijan also spoke about unsuccessful election petition that should attract sanctions. He also mentioned that in his speech as well. And speaking about free and fair, which of course you've echoed severally, the president spoke about it and says that 2024 election must be free, fair.
He's to ensure that.
You still don't believe
We don't believe it. This is a post-facto rationalization of what he said.
Offei.
KMG,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that Honorable here speaks about freedom. But I believe that when he talks about freedom, Ghanaians should be liberated and have freedom from propaganda. Ghanaians should have freedom from bad leadership, like what John Mahama gave us in his era. Ghanaians should be free from hooligans, like when they went to their former president's residence, so-called office, to do a cleanup. You saw what they brandished over there, holding cutlasses, clubs, machetes, and other weapons that are injurious to humans. Do we go to a wedding site with mortar? Do you go to a wedding site with guns?
Do you determine what to say?
These are the kind of people who are preaching fairness.
If you go to another
and security in our nation,
wouldn't you kill it?
These are the perpetrators. We should be free from nation wreckers who are preaching violence in our elections. You heard their Deputy General Secretary, Mustafa Gbandi, telling us that when we are going to vote, what should he take along? Remember, during the inaugural or the acceptance speech of Johnson Asidi Nketia, the national chairman, he made a point that they are going to make every effort to win 2024 elections, including the usage of human lives. You can play the tape and listen to it. This is the chairman of the NDC.
These were in his own words?
In his own words.
Including the use of human
and
lives.
Worst of it is their presidential candidate, a former president of this nation, talks about the point that when it comes to violence, they are superstars in violence. And today they are preaching.
In his speech, the national chairman in his speech yesterday mentioned the victimization.
So that is where I'm coming to.
Issue. Maybe
when we talk about victimization, if you want to talk about the political party that has suffered so much victimization, is the NPP. Remember what they did to Samia Uku and Esela Usu?
They would also reference you to...
remember what they did to...
They would also reference you to what happened to Ayawasu Washwagon.
I am sure for which reason the president set up a commission and brought a finality to it.
What was the
that
finality?
Commission, do you know what...
They said they should be prosecuted.
Do you know what has brought to our elections? It is for which reason we have no vigilante and these hooligan groups in our political discourse any longer. So that is a president who is seeing to it that there is a finality to an illegality in our...
Most of the things the
so I'm saying that
still believe that has not been justified in terms of the report.
I'm saying that if
some judge is still bitter about what happened.
If for nothing at all, there's nothing like Azoka Boys. There's nothing like Veranda Boys and those kind of
bulldogs. You mentioned
those other names. For which reason I will applaud Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for making sure that such a canker, which was so much endemic in our system, has now been brought to an end. And so if you want a president who is seeing to it that there's a free and fair election in this country, it is Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Honorable makes the point that Nana Addo has never condemned the happenings in Tachiman South.
Yeah.
This, Asase Radio, evidence-based.
That what?
What does it read?
What Akufo-Addo condemns gun violence.
Very good. Now this is
same as Asase Radio.
This is Class FM online. What do you see over there too? So this is Asase Radio. This is Class FM.
Yeah,
this is not from the presidency. Look. So the president Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo does not condone illegality. This is a fact. If you want a political party that is bent on bringing down the reputation of this country, it is the NDC. Nana Addo has nothing to hide, for which reason he is championing the fact that elections should be conducted in a free and fair atmosphere. He sees to it that anytime there is an election, all bodies involved, all stakeholders have a fair chance of competing, and the one who wins becomes the one who is crowned at the end of the day. So for me, when I listen to Honorable here calling Nana Addo that he's a lame duck horse, from who? A monarch speaker who doesn't want somebody to make a point in parliament? Don't you see his engagement with members of parliament during discourse in parliament? Not only between opposition members of his side, but even within his own circles.
Is acting like a monarch?
Yes, he's acting like a monarch.
No one says he's acting like a monarch.
He's acting like I'm saying he's acting like a monarch. Who doesn't want people to have their say? And that's why he
The
says...
president is acting like a monarch.
I'm saying the speaker is
Parliament.
acting like a monarch.
The
Who doesn't want people to have their say in Parliament? You remember his altercation with Muntaka? Not forgetting his altercation with his engagement with Haruna Iddrisu. Same with our leader.
Does that make him a monarch?
He's acting like a dictator.
His responsibility.
Parliament is a house of debate.
Exactly, and it's a responsibility.
And he doesn't allow debate.
Supervise those debates.
He doesn't allow debate.
How does that make him a monarch?
He wants to push his ideas on people, whether they agree with him or not. But he must remember that he's just like a referee. He doesn't take part in the game. He must make sure that the game is played on a level playing field.
You think the speaker has been unfair?
Largely very unfair.
Supervising debates in the
largely very unfair. I have given you instances, unless you disagree with the instances I've provided. Not only
you have
with
your own leaders coming to say that the speaker is fair. You've seen your own leaders saying that the speaker
those
is
are
fair.
their personal views, and this is my view. I hope I'm entitled to my view as well.
Absolutely.
And that is what I see him to be. So you cannot use his speech describing Nanado as what? A lame duck horse, or what?
A lame duck. He hasn't gotten to the horse. He's still a duck.
We'll get to the
He's not even performing his work well as a speaker. How can he criticize? He must.
Do you know the second way he criticized?
He must remember that we are running executive presidency and not a power-sharing presidency in this country. That's the point he must know. He can have his say, but the president has his way. That's why he's called an executive president. What makes me executive president? He has the final say in every decision. So for me, which issue was he even talking about? That the president should assent to a bill that is trying to
he was talking about the hang parliament.
Not only that.
No,
he made the point that
the issue of the lame duck is what I'm talking.
He made the point that the president should sign a bill into law making a death penalty a life imprisonment. And the president refers you to the Constitution that indeed, when you have such a case, it must emanate from where? The executive arm of Parliament. And that is a fact. He sometimes behaves as if he's a repository of knowledge and law when it comes to the governance of this state. For me, I don't think that should be encouraged. The point is that free and fair elections are not just arrived in a day. Election is a process, for which reason the Electoral Commission keeps on inviting the NDC onto the table to have a discussion with them. But for their strange reasons, which they have with the woman and his members, decide not to attend their meetings. And today, they find a platform like this and chastise the woman in any form or whatsoever way they want. I'm saying that if they want their views to be heard, there is an avenue for them to go and air their views.
Instead of speaking to the issues.
Yes, they don't speak to issues. Always attacking personalities. I always say that in a game of football, you only have an attackers facing which people? Defenders. So if you don't attack, nobody will what? Defend you. So if they come on platform and they talk about the fact that NPP members come on platform to defend the indefensible, they also come and attack things that are not supposed to be attacked. And when you do that, indeed, as somebody representing a political party here, I don't think you expect me to pick a Bible and read Bible verses. But of course, I'll speak to the issues and lay bare the facts before the public. And that is what we do on any platform we get, like your respectable platform like Joy Prab this morning. So when we get an opportunity, let's rather encourage and involve ourselves in the processes leading to the final day of elections. Like I said earlier, elections are processes. It is not just an event that you arrive at a point just within a day. So they should encourage their members to participate, especially their leadership, and not always preaching violence from their top hierarchy to the least person on the ground. And that's the point I want our honorable here to remember, that when you visit John Mahama in his office, he must lead the charge and chastise those men who were at his office, encouraging that people should come with what? Guns. Have you heard him condemning Mustafa Gwandi on his unfortunate pronouncement on what do you call it, NIT FM or OKFM? Have you heard former President John Mahama condemning Mustafa Gwandi? But today, Honorable is here telling us that Nanado should go and condemn the incident that happened in Techiman South, which of course he did, and I've shown you evidence. But over the years, until this morning, they kept on saying that Nanado has never condemned that incident. But today, I've given you evidence that indeed, Nanado is somebody who is so much clean that he's not interested in killing souls to become president of this nation. Unlike Asiedun Ketia, who is telling us that they are going to do all things in their capacity to win elections, including the sacrificing of lives.
Honorable, our time is up.
yeah,
I don't know how quick you can do this. For
Just a minute. You know, my brother, Asiedun Ketia does not control national security.
A national chairman of your party
Please, if you allow
who
me
speaks to his followers for them to act.
If you allow
Okay,
me,
let him
there's no
finish.
time.
We don't have time.
You
Let
see,
him finish.
Asiedun Ketia doesn't control the army, the police. They are all under
But he controls his members.
Please. They are all controlled under your executive president.
I'm saying he controls his
You allow
members.
me to talk,
That's
because
a
I was-
fact.
No.
Let him
me tell
finish.
you.
He interrupted when I was
National
speaking.
national security would assess your capacity to be able to carry out a threat. When they see that your threat is just verbal gymnastics, they don't even mind you. That is how national security works. And the president has told the whole world that he was going to do everything possible under his canopy as an executive president and the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. And we have seen how the armed forces were used in the last elections. Even though we believe that
He made mention that under the use of the armed forces.
under the
No, speak
there have
to
been
exactly what he
twist-
said.
allow me
You know,
to
you
talk.
will not twist the facts when I'm here.
So let him finish, and then you correct.
You see,
if you have to.
I said the president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces. We saw how the armed forces shot into a peaceful crowd just standing to watch a coalition center and 8 people died. In any case, we are saying that he has not called any of the parliament members to even say hello. When this country...
Now you are shifting the
we have
goalpost.
not
That's the
shifted.
point I
Allow
want
me,
you to
please,
know.
I want to come
So-
there.
so-
You earlier on made the
Please,
point that
please,
he has
please,
never condemned, and today he's shifting. After
I'm coming there, I'm coming to the issue. You give me the 1 minute. Look, we're in this country. You went and took George Floyd, the Black Lives Matter funeral. You went and took his clothing, empty clothing to the Flagstaff house. You state resources cried and sponsored George Floyd. Has George Floyd ever voted for for your president? And you kill innocent children in an election that young the president into office. And you think that showing me this is enough when we have seen the president go to people's houses to sympathize with them when they have funerals. Haven't you seen our president walk into people's home when party people die?
The point must be made.
No.
The point must be made
Allow me,
that
please.
you
interrupting.
initially
You see,
said the president has never.
I'm coming. There
And
was
that
the
point has
committee-
been refuted today, this
Would you
morning.
stop him? It hasn't been refuted. It's only your phone.
I've given you evidence.
I have not seen
my
it.
phone.
But let me come. Be that as it may, my brother, there was a commission of inquiry instituted to investigate what were the recommendations of the killing in Techiman. Have the investigations for 4 years, we're in our 4th year now, been implemented? Just as the Ayawaso West recommendation, headed by Emil Schultz, my former boss, and all the prominent people there, Double was supposed to be prosecuted. Double has now become a direct bodyguard to the president. People were beaten in the center of the Flagstaff house. The police corps, Nanka Bruce, was beaten there. You only took people who released the video. We can go on and on. Is that how we want to go? Look, the hung parliament, the Speaker of Parliament, for once, is not a monarch, and you know him. Parliament is a ground for debate and record house. The president said that there's a hung parliament, and then because of the primaries, most of your people will not be coming, and because you have elected your flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, most of the people will be shifting their loyalty to be following Bawumia. So the president is a lame duck. And that he must begin to, it has nothing to do with the bill, even the bills that were brought. Later on, you know, it was discovered that the president actually signed one of the bills that has to do with the Criminal Offences Act. The president actually signed that one. And in a post-facto rationalization, he went back and said, why did I sign? I won't sign anything. He actually signed. He showed dishonesty. The president showed absolute dishonor. In fact, in other countries, it has been a case for impeachment.
Okay, so that's going to be our time for this morning. Let me say a big thank you to the two of you for coming.
This
Offei
morning
is a
has been
bad
stressful.
boy.
With all
It's been stressful.
he was gingered in propaganda purposes this morning. But of course,
Offei,
I've been able to deflate his propaganda.
Seth Offei is a writer and communications team member for the for the New Patriotic Party, and Honorable Honorable is from the former MP for Bulsa North and constituency, joining us this morning. Honorable Awontirim joining us this morning as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable, next time, take it easy.
Offei is a bad
You've been
boy.
hijacking Offei. It's a bad boy. Thank you so much, Offei, for coming this morning as well.
Thank you too. For the opportunity.
That's our conversation for Newsflash this morning here on the show. Hopefully tomorrow we'll bring you another conversation on Newsflash. But of course, the show continues, and I see why standing by with the latest trends and also your birthday wishes as well. We still have our health conversation also coming up a bit later, and we've got some other issues, on entertainment and all that. So sports updates with Nathaniel Anto will be also coming through here this morning. This is still Prime Morning. My name is KMJ. Please do stay.